Hello, today we are going to solve this exercise or lab, and we are going to configure IP version 4 and IP version uh, 6 for static and default routes, as well as for floating routes. Okay, so here we have this network. Okay, router 1 is connected to two LANs. Each LAN consists of PCA, PCB, and this router, edge router, is connected to ISP1 router, and also this edge router is connected to another ISP router, and these two routers can reach a customer server using this switch or this LAN. Okay, the IP addresses are as the following. So the idea of this exercise is to create here a primary static route and between edge router and ISP1, and we also want to create a backup here, backup route if this doesn't work, or if this path goes down. This router will use this backup to reach this network. Okay, so to do so, we are going to first configure static routes, default static routes. Then we will also configure this backup path here. Okay, then when we configure all this stuff and we make this interface down, we will check if really from PCA and from PCB we will try to ping the customer server and check and verify if these configurations are correct. Okay, so first, configure IP version 4 and 6 static and default routes. Here the edge router has 4 interfaces, 2 serials and 2 gigabit Ethernets. Okay, so for the edge router, the interface S000 should be configured by this address, and also the S001 is 10.6. So if we go here, as you see, this is the interface. This is the interface S000, and this interface is 001. Okay, so first thing as is asking, and then we'll also configure the network addresses that are connected to G00, G01. This is for these PCs. As you see here, this is the network address, or this the LAN address, this one, and for this LAN, this is the network address. So the PCA is not 10.19 and PCB is 11.4. Let's check IP configuration. So PCA is with 10.19. Okay, Default gateway is the 1017. As you see here, the default this network. And we also the IP version 6 is already configured as well. And if we check for IPCB, the 1145, let's check 1145, that's correct. Okay, this is and this one are correct. Okay, this is 33. Okay, so this is 45 here should be, or there it should be 4. I think it should be 4. Anyway, so now we will solve each case. The objective is this exercise is to configure IP version 4 and 6 static and floating, as well as static default routes for both of them. And we also configured the IP version 4 and 6 static and floating static routes to LANs. So one time we will configure from between router and router, and another time here from between router and a LAN. And finally, we will try to configure host routes for the server. Okay. In this activity, you will configure IP version, default static and floating static routes. The static routing approach that's used in this lab is used to assess your ability to configure different types of static routes only. This approach may not reflect networking best practices. It's not optimal solution, but it's a working solution. Okay. Instructions. Part 1 of this, it consists of 2 steps. This part 1, the packet tracer network requires static routes to provide internet access to LAN users through IPSPs. In addition, the ISP routers require static routes to reach the LANs, internal LANs. In this part of this activity, you will configure an IP version for static route and a floating default route to add redundancy. So floating route is to add redundancy to the network. 1. Step 1, configure an IP version for static default route. So on edge router, configure a directly connected IP version for default static route. The primary default route should be through the router ISP1. Should be through, it means that the next hop should be ISP1. So we should use next hop for this for this IP address. So it should be 10, 10, 10, 1. And because this interface is connected to edge router, okay, and this interface we will see, but this is the interface. As you notice here, this interface S00 is connected to ISP1. Okay, this is ISP1. So now the question, how to configure this on edge router. It's easy enough. We should use the IP route. We should, because it's default static, we should use 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So let's go to ISP1, to edge router. And we should execute, we should enter to the enable mode first, then configure terminal. We are in. Then in order to configure this, the default static route, and it should be the primary default route via ISP1. To do so, we should configure here, we should define within the IP route the destination network address, this network normally, and subnet mask and the next hop. But because we are using default static, it means that we should use the zero network address. It means 0000, and we should use the subnet mask also 000, and then we should add the destination network at this interface. What is the destination? What's the next hop? Sorry, what's the next hop at this interface? 000. Let's check. So the 000 at this interface is the ISP1. So it's 10 10 10 1. So we should add to the command 10 10 10 1. This is the first command. So now, so this way we define default static route, and this address 10 10 10 1 is the address of the next hop router. Okay, we enter. Then this will serve as the main route here. This is the primary route or main route. Okay, now the second question is, we defined this one, we are done. Configure IP version for floating static default route. On edge router, configured a directly connected IP version for floating. When you listen this word floating, you should add the administrative distance. Floating static default route. The default route should be through router ISP2 in this case, and it should have an administrative distance of 5. Remember, the router likes to use the addresses with less value of administrative distance. So it means if we don't add here a distance, it means the distance is 1, the minimum. Okay, so to do so, we should use for the this way. Now we should configure the static route here, floating